always lived in the bookstore. We've always lived in the bookstore.
Okay. I believe you're officially
That should
going.
be our book club name.
Let's start a new book club.
That would be great.
I got that. Oh, we have always lived in the bookstore.
So should we start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cover up when you poisoned everyone.
Okay. I'll start, sure. Welcome to the StLBooks No Commitment Book Club for January. It's the first one in 2015. I'm turning it over to Ron.
And so he did. STLBooks is a full-line independent bookstore located at 100 West Jefferson in Kirkwood, Missouri. We specialize in books about St. Louis and high-quality literature for adults and children. Our store is small, but we carry thousands of new and used books of all genres, including many scarce and collectible items. Visit our website at STLBooks.com. The No Commitment Book Club is for book lovers like me who really do not need another obligation. We meet every fourth Wednesday at 6:30 at STLBooks. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to show up. Our discussion is live cast on YouTube in real time. You don't even have to read the book. We invite you to come and enjoy the food, the friendship, and the discussion. And if you can, bring along a bottle or a treat to share. Our book selections are chosen by our panelists. And panelists, let's go around and say hello.
I'm Brad Arco.
I'm Mary Mankey. Rose Cristomano. Erin Robbins.
And I'm Robin Tice on our STLBooks. We only have one stipulation about the book selections, and that is that every fourth book be written by a St. Louis author. Tonight we're discussing Ancillary Justice, a science fiction novel by St. Louis author Ann Leckie. This book has won the Hugo, Nebula, and Arthur C. Clarke Awards, and has also published short stories in Subterranean Magazine, Strange Horizons, and Realms of Fantasy. Her story, Hesperia and Glory, was reprinted in Science Fiction, The Best of the Year, 2007 edition. She has worked as a waitress, a receptionist, a robman on a land surveying crew, and as a recording engineer. Ann lives in St. Louis, Missouri. Ancillary Justice takes place on a remote icy planet where the soldier known as Breq is drawing closer to completing her quest. Breq is both more than she seems and less than she was. Years ago, she was Justice of Toren, a colossal starship with an artificial intelligence linking thousands of corpse soldiers in the service of the Radch, the empire that conquered the galaxy. An act of treachery has ripped it all away, leaving her with only one fragile human body and only one purpose: to get revenge against the many-bodied, near-immortal Lord of the Radch. Not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's what you get in sci-fi.
So we'll get on to that. We'll talk about that.
Copies of Ancillary Justice are available for 15% off through the end of January. And our new book club selection, which will be announced at the end of this meeting, will also be 15% off through the end of February. To take advantage of the discount, all you have to do is mention the No Commitment Book Club when you come into the store. Brad Cook is going to lead our discussion tonight, and I'll turn it over to him now.
Excellent. All right. So it's Ancillary Justice, which is the first book in a trilogy. Ancillary Sword is already out. And let me see my notes. Ancillary Mercy will be coming out this year, so do check it out. I'm going to start off by saying I did finish this book. We'll get to that in a minute. And, I really enjoyed it, actually. I'll start off by saying this. So anyone who talked to me before I read this book, anytime in the last couple months, my biggest question was, how did she win? I'm not even going to lie. I wanted to know how you could win the Hugo, the Nebula, the Arthur C. Clarke, the Locus, the BSFA, and all the other big, gigantic awards that they have out there, and not be Star Wars. So that was kind of my question, and I have to say that when I started reading it, I was a little like, okay, this is really well written, but I still didn't get it. I think finished it. It is an amazing novel that goes into some really crazy places, and that's why it won all the awards. So I really like that. To start off, actually, and we'll get to a few things. My first question is actually about the characters, because one of the coolest things about this book at least that I thought, is that almost every character is female.
But
So
you
I'm
don't
curious.
really know that.
You don't really know
Yeah.
that. It kind of comes up
Because
in
it's a genderless
Right.
language
Yeah.
or something, yeah.
society and stuff like that. So
So you
all that's kind of been
really-
removed. But yeah, it
Gender's
was
not
kind of
important
intriguing.
to them or something.
I was curious how you guys thought of that. You thought it was some sort of hook, or if you even noticed, because I didn't notice until well through the book that all the characters were females.
Yeah, I noticed it pretty well.
Yeah, but they
Early
still
on,
called
but-
him him.
Yeah, well, they would
Well,
vary,
sometimes
they
they
would
call
switch
them
back
she.
and forth.
And the one was kind of pretending to be
confusing
your,
at first,
he was
yeah.
she was pretending to be a man.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they would even mention themselves, or the main character, especially would always say she wasn't really sure whether this was the male or female,
Yeah.
so she wasn't sure which gender words to use with that person, but I thought it was a hook, but I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I have to divulge that I did not finish the book. Intended to, and I am hooked, and I'm going to finish it. But I did find that was an interesting thing. It hooked me in the very beginning of the book, in the chapters that I did read. And what I was curious about is the people that are the characters of the book. Do they have gender? Or are we saying, I mean, in sci-fi, anything goes, so I'm never really sure. But I kind of got the impression, and admittedly, I haven't gone that far into the book yet, so I got the impression that they do have genders, but nobody cares about them.
Right.
So it's not something like, it's like in society today, they say, a white guy approached me on the street, or a black guy approached me on the street, like that's how we're categorizing people. And now we say I spoke to a man out on the street. I spoke to a woman out on the street. My impression was that they evidently don't have any regard for whether you're a man or woman, any of that. So
That's
it's not really relevant.
Right.
Yeah, their language, their society is structured so that it's not as important.
Yeah.
Well, what about the, not just gender, but sex itself?
Or
Yeah.
reproducing.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed very removed from it. So
It did.
it had been removed. They had a whole very clinical, technical way of reproducing. And that's not even getting into the ancillary stuff.
So what came
Yeah.
first, the clinical reproduction or the genderless regard? The regard.
Good question. They don't really go into that.
So that, thank you.
My question is, there's humans and there's the influencers.
Yeah,
Mhm, that's true.
So those are the ones that don't have the gender. Or is it
specifically.
So the humans,
Had a weird
that,
technical way.
did they have gender? I mean, did
Well, I
we
think
still
there
have
was-
gender?
There was some confusion too as to whether, how to tell whether someone is an ancillary or a human.
It did seem kind of,
Yeah.
but yet again, and we'll get into that. We should probably do that.
I
now.
thought they could be both.
Well, see,
I don't
here's
know.
the thing. An ancillary, and for those of you, we're not ruining anything, 'cause this is kind of the whole point of the book, but ancillary, so the main character of this book, Breq, is actually, I guess, a ship,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term. So she's the ship that, they kind of fly around in, and her, Pat travels in. But anyway, the ancillaries are, for lack of a better term, undead creations made out of the body parts of old humans that are then used on the ship to communicate with the human people and to run the ship as if it was the crew or the machinery and stuff. It was a very interesting thing, which led to one of my favorite parts of the book, which is the multi-POV that you would get, because the ship Breq, she has these 20 or so ancillaries, and she sees through all of them. So you get this weird sense of these different POVs coming all in, but it's all coming through one central point of view. I thought that was kind of interesting.
But she was also, I'm picturing her as also, she was a ship, but she was also like
A human.
Like a human,
Type.
right?
Yeah.
That could have armor on?
Well, the armor and stuff was more from the ship and stuff, and that was the whole thing of like
That really threw me.
yeah, the whole thing would be that there's this weird technology that whenever one of the ancillaries is being attacked, which means the ship is being attacked, that the shields would come up on the ship.
Okay.
It was kind of that. But yeah, so there's a lot.
It confused me too.
There's a lot of confusing
Yeah.
stuff in here. We should probably talk about that. But there's this sense of the way that it starts, there's a lot of world building because it's a sci-fi book. And I don't know, I'd say there's a lot of people have problems getting into it, and I find most of them don't continue on long enough. Like we were talking about beforehand. It's got not a slow start, but a long start.
It takes about 100 pages to get into it.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get into it, but that's just because you're building up this world. You have to learn about the different planets. You have to learn about the Radch Empire. I'm not even try to pronounce these things.
It's not a quick read, so
It's
you're looking
not.
for a quick read.
Which is odd because I read it today, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Jury duty, did not want to, but I did.
Well, and it's something that I think, especially when you're getting started, you need to set aside a block of time where you can just read. I was reading it in like 15 to 20 minute intervals, and that gets really confusing.
It was a little confusing, but I have to say, if you stick with it though,
Yeah.
once the story, once that story really starts rolling and you start finding about the really complex nature between the dual nature of the enemy, the bad guy, the villain, it's kind of got this weird dual side going on where part of it was good and part of it was evil, and those are the ancillaries coming down.
Me in the beginning too, because she's going back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
there's a time jump.
And back in time, and so I wish there would have been a way for me to easier understand it if she wouldn't have jumped back and forth.
Yeah.
So much as
Yeah, there's
You
this
know.
weird thing where they're kind of trying to describe, like,
the world before.
the past, like what had happened, and you're going along in the story as they describe what had happened. That wasn't too confusing once you got into it. You could realize that,
Right.
but while you're in it, it was kind of like, where am I?
Right.
However, I have to say, this is probably one of the best written books I've read, not in a while, because we've been reading really good books throughout this club. Some of the best sci-fi, certainly, I've read.
Yeah.
In terms of the way it was written. She really avoided a lot of the tropes and pitfalls that a lot of science fiction, yes, everyone was complaining about the names, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce the villain's name because it's super hard and complex. It's Anadur,
Yeah.
Mene, something like that.
Or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
You'll have to ask Ann to get exactly which.
ANI or whatever.
But I really liked the sense of like our main character Breq is actually like one-esque, and she's also Justice of Toren. Different parts of her.
Justice of Toren ship.
Yeah.
And one ask if she's right as a person.
Yep. Yeah, it's a person form running through. So you had, and we jump into those people too, which was kind of intriguing because then you get to like live a chapter.
I thought at one time there was two S.
Yes.
One-
Well, there are a bunch
what?
actually. There are.
That's
I
not how
can't even
she's-
remember their whole names. But yeah. But I really enjoyed that kind of sense of having one character with multiple points of view. It was a very intriguing way of writing a book that I'm sure she had a lot of fun with. But I found it kind of fascinating, especially from a writer's standpoint, to kind of watch this book unfold.
Yeah, it's very creative. I mean, it was creative from the get-go, and it made me start to want to read it very closely and very carefully. But unfortunately, I was time constrained and I didn't get as far with it as I'd hoped to, even though we had 2 months to read it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just not good timing.
Well, that's okay. That's too much off of the holidays. So.
Yeah.
I know, that's the problem.
So lots of them.
Exactly.
What about as far as time, referring to time here? I noticed that she used referred a lot to seconds. If this took him 5 seconds to
Yeah.
respond, 3 seconds later this happened. Seconds, all throughout, not minutes,
Yep.
not hour, everything was seconds.
But then you'd also have the weird thing, like long times too, like centuries would pass, or like this
Right,
person would be 2,000 years old because it's a ship.
right.
Yeah, I enjoyed that actually.
I thought it was amazing that she's talking about the past time, like over 2,000 years, but she still knew, even though she wasn't a ship, she still knew how to like run a ship. How she said it towards the end, how they didn't have to change that much. She got it.
Well, at the end, Breq gets a ship or becomes another
Yeah.
ship, or
I think she
I think
to run a ship,
Yeah,
doesn't
she's
she?
captain of the ship.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce it, but whatever, mercy of something, wasn't it?
Mercy of Cal or Kale or
Yeah.
Kale.
Kale. research.
Something like that. I guess for me, I got more interested in how these two kind of were related. You know how do you pronounce her name? Subvertin or?
No, so very, yeah.
Subvertin, how, what, she had known her? She was she on her ship or she was on?
Well,
Was she on
it all-
Justice of Toren and then she had her
I
own
never
ship?
figure out which ship she was on, but it all kind of stems back to these incidences that get talked about in the book, which are, you know, kind of this, for lack of a better term, a horrific tragedy that's committed. You know, and they kind of relate to that and move forward from that. And yeah, it was kind of interesting the way they had that kind of, there's a past and that tragedy or the, you know, everything in the past kind of working through to the future was kind of intriguing.
But then when Breq found someone, like 2,000 years later or whatever, he or she kind of felt a connection,
Yeah,
but couldn't remember why.
it was interesting.
Yeah.
I found it kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I did too. I liked it.
Well, I'm trying to think of the incident that happened at some group that started with P. I don't know how to pronounce it either. They destroyed it. They came in and destroyed the humans.
Yes.
They destroyed the humans. And that's kind of how it all got started and how they started then using the humans to make the
Ancillaries.
ancillary.
Yeah, there's a whole thing of that, and then they come in the end, and there. I mean, to be honest, the Radch, which the Radch are kind of loosely based off the Romans. You know, so you get kind of that sense of structure and society. But there are differences, very classic differences between the two. But because of that, you almost got that sense of like, I don't know, their authoritativeness over everybody else. And the way they described how they ended up taking over planets in the end, it was almost like we just go in and we give all the stuff, the good stuff, to the rich people who are already there. Then they turn their people into, you know, they have a whole caste system in their world. It's a very structured world.
Provincial.
Yeah, you had your top people like your provincials, then you had your.
I thought the provincials were the lower.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Because that's what that means, if you look it up in the dictionary. Provincial means. I wasn't quite sure how they were using that, so I'm sorry, I thought that meant like they're.
No, I think you're right. I think I was getting the other people. Because the rest.
I think they had clients.
That was it.
Clients. Was it
Clients.
the clients and then the provincials maybe?
Yes, because you have like the rich people. I can't remember what their names are. They're the Radin.
Like Radch or something.
Yeah, however you pronounce that name.
I have no idea.
The Radachai,
Radachai.
Radchia.
I thought those were.
Exactly.
They weren't humans.
They were not, but they would take over societies, and some of those societies would be human, and then after a while, those people would essentially become Radachai.
Okay.
Because you know, in the sense of there had been structure, you know, they the way they structured their world was it almost didn't matter in the way the Romans did. Once you were Romanized, you know, it didn't matter. So they would just go into a system and bring the Radch, bring the Radch Empire to everybody, and then that was supposed to make everybody great. And then they turn the rich people over and give them all the special benefits, and then they would get clients, and those clients would then be allowed to be harvested to make ancillaries and stuff like that. So it was a whole crazy world. But kudos to Ann because she came up with some amazing stuff.
I know.
Well, I just remember mine must be fascinating. I'm thinking to just
I
try
know.
to think of the structure that.
To come up with
That
the structure,
she made.
I can only imagine the gigantic flowchart that is sitting on her
Yes.
wall
Yeah.
to outline this
And
whole
even
book.
with the names, how did she come up with these?
I would love to know where she came up with some of the names because they're interesting. They don't, you know, it's not like they're Celtic or they're Chinese or they're, you know, African mixed in with, you know, some sort of Himalayan dialect or something. But, you know, I'd be fascinated to know where she actually pulled some of the names from. And actually,
Like one S. Yeah.
Yeah, one S because that's actually almost Mayan
Mm-hmm.
in the way that
Yeah.
comes off.
What
So
about
that was.
Amad, though? Is it Amad? A-M-A-T?
Yeah.
That's how I was pronouncing it. I don't know if that's right.
What about,
The names were fascinating.
touch a little bit on religion?
Okay.
Where they do religion.
It was an interesting thing there. You know, it was
So they had gods, right?
they did,
Mhm.
but their worship almost seemed like
Well, to me, it's paganism. Well, a little bit, but it made it. They had like gods and icons.
It seemed to
Well,
me
the
like,
divine.
I think she
Yeah.
was kind of faking it
That's kind of what I was trying to think of. Like,
to fit in.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seemed very hollow. I guess would be a good way of putting
Maybe
it.
for her it was.
For her, and I felt like for the Radch too. Like there was that sense of almost in the way that you almost feel like the Romans were that you'd have to go worship in the temple that day because otherwise the gods are going to be angry at you.
Mhm.
You don't have to miss that day. Well, the gods didn't really get upset. So,
Yeah.
but tomorrow I better make certain I'm there again. If the gods don't get angry. You know, I just felt that level of like detachment. I guess from some, not everybody, because there you had your zealots and you had your believers.
But didn't they have, who was in the very beginning? Who was the, they went and talked to her, I guess, wasn't there like there was like a house or something, and she was like,
The
Lord.
temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The temple. So like she was real reverent, I guess, in that one society.
Yeah, there was a whole, and that fell back to the whole ancillary part and everything like that. So that was
Yeah,
kind of
the
connected
very-
through that.
The very beginning.
Yeah, there was a whole thing in the beginning of the temple where, I mean, there was that massacre that happened in the temple. And everybody felt really horrible about that and everything. So,
Was there a sense of when this story takes place, or is this just in some nebulous?
far-flung, futuristic. And to be
You know,
honest, I
we're
didn't
sure,
even
could it
feel,
be a,
I didn't feel it
parallel
was,
universe?
it could be, I mean, it could be going on out there, but I didn't really get the feeling it was Earth played into this at all.
Okay.
I thought it was all, I kept seeing the dark, just dark with the ships and everything, that in my mind, just kind of like a Star Trek thing, going like through space.
Yeah.
Just real dark and stars and, the planets. Was Ors? No, was that a planet? Or was that a city? I'm in a city.
I want a map.
Yeah.
A map would have
I
been
like
helpful,
maps.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole breakdown of how this all like got played out would actually been kind of nice.
Yeah,
Because
and other
there,
than, because again, I would want to pronounce it like you said, the one with the S, SHIRUNA, that's a planet. I thought that was like.
I think so, or I think it was the city though.
The
I think
city,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure it's there.
okay. That's what
It
I
gets
thought.
confusing if you didn't notice that.
Well, Ors, and then there was the other city that she went to, and then the other place when she's telling the story where she took Jefferdan, whoever she is, to that one doctor.
Yep.
It seems like this is
Yeah.
a very intricately planned
It is.
and developed setting.
One of the most
Yeah.
amazing things about this
Yeah.
book, actually, when you get past the world building, is she starts to weave. And not only is she weaving character storyline, but then she's weaving train of thought. And she's weaving these ancillaries, which come in different ways. You get to see different things. So, as the ship, she gets to see everything that's going on the ship. And that's really comforting to her. She gets to see what all the officers are doing, and she gets to see how they're all feeling, what their mood is for that day. And then she goes down on a planet, and none of that is there. You can't monitor an entire planet. Monitoring a ship is easy, but you can't monitor the entire planet. And I found that kind of fascinating. So you have this complex emotional story going on, and then you have these complex POV story going on, and then you have a complex plot.
So how is she seeing the ship when she's on the ship? I mean,
Well, it's it's to be honest, it's weird.
insect-like imagine
Imagine everyone's wearing Google Glass and you've got the computer in your brain. Everyone's got a camera and you can see what they all do, and you also know how they're feeling and everything like that. So
She was multiple people.
Yeah.
She was very multiple. I took it as like she was the chef, and then there's the multiple of her, and then they all were like aides, weren't they? So like
they would be different
captains and lieutenants, and then but they also protected them.
Yep.
She was almost like an army or a soldier.
She was like a bodyguard to the officers of the ship and everything like that too. It was
what
fascinating the way the whole ancillary concept is really cool. I can see why it already has been optioned for a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, this
One of the
is-
things that I
Yeah, it
noticed.
was optioned in 2014 by a production company for Fox
I
Television.
was
I was
thinking
reading
I would
about
love
that,
to see
yeah.
how they would do this in the movie, how they
Pretty
would
cool,
go back and
first
forth.
off.
I would
and
love
how
to see it, and then we'll get to find out how to pronounce the names.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what their
So who
interpretation is
the-
anyway.
So I guess my next question was, the captains and the lieutenants, here, were they humans? Or were they?
They were that Radch, whatever people, which were a mix of humans and aliens that were living in this structured society, which meant it didn't matter what their. I mean, when you really broke it down, it didn't matter what your gender was, what your ethnicity was, what your race, and
Yeah.
you know,
Which is really a fascinating thing to
Yeah.
study, yeah.
it all mattered on your place in society and how you fit into this world. Because if you didn't fit in, then your body could be harvested to make ancillaries, which is a frightening concept. Which is just a fascinating thing about this book, you know, kind of the whole world she created.
Now, I get the sense in my early phase of reading this that she's not pleased with where she is in her station of life here. So, so even though you can be harvested and recommissioned, then it sounds like you still carry your regrets over that happening to you with you into the new station in your life.
And that's kind of what the entire story ends up being about.
Well, she gave us
yeah.
human qualities,
Mhm.
which really, I don't think they're supposed to have.
Now, there was some odd mixing of that. Like,
Yeah, because
you got some of it, but then there was that kind of weird, I think there was that scene where they were like talking about wiping that one person. It became an ancillary or something like that. A lot of it blends together in
Yeah,
that
I
middle
know.
part.
I know.
yeah, but I mean, she started having, to me, I keep thinking like robot type structure with
Yeah.
even with human with
There was a-
qualities. I'm sure she probably looked. Well, I'm picturing her looking as a human, but she's got, of course, she's all part together. She's got all these intricate parts. It sounds like that's work.
Well, yeah,
I
because
mean,
when they put her, when she was in the hospital, you know, I think the doctors were kind of shocked. You know, we're trying to.
Were they
work
human
on it.
doctors?
Pardon me?
Were they human
They're
doctors?
the rat
Oh,
Radch
Radch
Empire,
or whatever.
whatever.
whoever
The Radch Empire. Well, here's the thing. So I actually found this kind of fascinating in the sense of, so an ancillary, or I should say, our main character is actually human, but has artificial intelligence. So she's human, but she has a computer brain. And they play with that because she has emotional issues that she's still bringing from when she was a human, but she's very logical and methodical and focused on ship operations and stuff like that, and the artificial intelligence. And I found that kind of fascinating, along with the multiple points of view. But I'm curious if that was something you guys all enjoyed.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that
thought
sense of she wasn't really human.
she wasn't really human, but she had those human qualities because when she was commanded to shoot, she wasn't like, wait a minute, I really gotta sit and think about this.
Yeah.
She did it.
She just did it.
And then she
And they
had the
talk about
thought,
that later, which is cool.
yeah, and that, I think the purpose for the whole book really is because she's getting her revenge because they killed that, was it Lieutenant On?
Yeah.
Is that her name? She really cared about that.
Yeah.
The person she was designated to watch.
Spoiler alert there, but it really bummed me out.
So these, so I'm gonna ask stupid questions because you don't have to read the book. And so, but you know, I think that's one of the beauties of not having to read the book in this book club is that you can ask questions and decide if you want to read the book. So I have already decided I do want to finish this book, but for reasons other than what I'm going to bring up. Now, one that I read, and I can't find the passage, I've been passionately searching for it in my book and also in my Kindle, and I confess I do read Kindles. But I can't find where I marked a passage. There was a particular area where it seemed like somebody could read somebody's mind. Are there extra human abilities in any of these characters?
The ancillaries have, for lack of a better term, I guess you would call them abilities. And it's not so much like that they're an ability, it's that you're an ancillary. And so the whole point of being an ancillary is that you're like connected
Okay.
to, so Breq, the ship,
Mhm.
she had like, I don't know, 10 plus, maybe 20 ancillaries, which are, these undead people, people who've been harvested and turned into something else. So they're humans. They got artificial intelligence put into them, and, maybe they're an amalgamation of a couple of different people.
Mhm.
And then they would be on the ship. So they'd be serving on the ship and doing things on the ship, like one's in engineering, one's standing next to the captain, one's standing next to the pilot. You want to turn right, you tell the ancillary you want to turn right, and then the ancillary just thinks it, and the ship knows it needs to turn right.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way that works, and that's where that mental kind of,
Well, this
for
particular
lack of a better term, mental
area,
reading kind of coming in.
you guys may remember it, but I doubt it, because it seemed minor at the time, but it was something like, when you're reading along and all of a sudden you notice something, and you're like, I don't know if this is significant or not, but I'm going to remember it in case it is. Well, there was one area where she was thinking something, and then somebody answered her. And it was kind of like she said, I wonder, I'd give an example, it was something like, I think something is going to be a certain way. And then somebody in the room, I think it was in the bar, in the patrons in the beginning, somebody in the room said, no offense, but it's not. And I thought, well, she didn't ask that, she was thinking that.
Yeah.
And
I do
this
remember
person
that.
answered answered
Well,
her. So,
I know at the end of the book is it got towards the end and she was trying to kill that person or trying to get rid of that person, but those other ancillaries on the ship, she was kind of like thinking, well, I got to do this so they don't think I'm going to do that. Remember, so they don't know what I'm going to do next.
right.
So they must have some type of
They're definitely
reading
you're right. I mean, totally.
each other, because she was doing certain moves not to make the other ancillaries like know what she was going to do.
Yeah.
And try to,
There's some really clever things in this book that,
There really are.
Sci-fi isn't something that I tend to gravitate toward as my first choice, but it's not something I reject either. I'm just always looking for a great story with great characters and a well-developed setting, but it's hard to get me to like go straight for sci-fi because a lot of times it's such a departure from reality, and I tend to be more interested in things that I can relate to as real plausible, right now, like character dramas and things like that.
Right.
So this one seems to possess, I mean, one of my favorite sci-fi books of all times was Dune, the trilogy. And because I loved the characters and I loved everything.
Another book that takes a while to get into, has really complex character names and a really complex plotline, very similar in style.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
This is very
It reminded me of it as I
Yeah.
was reading it, and I was thinking, I am going to finish reading this. But first I thought, okay, I'm going to do my best to try to get going on this for the club that I had no commitment to do that for. But I wanted to, and then as I got into it, I got hooked, and I started thinking, no, I'm really interested. I want to know what happens next.
It's interesting, and I will say that from it's like it's almost a 400-page book. And I would say that after the first 100 pages, it turns into a roller coaster that starts actually like go straight towards
I
the
can't
end.
wait now.
Yeah.
I like when it took me a little longer than that, maybe for me almost getting under page 200, because I kind of wanted to see what was going to happen to her and the person that she rescued, because she really did rescue them and where it was going to go. But then now it's like I want to know the Lord of the Radch or Red or whoever she is. What is going to be with her? I mean, didn't it end throw you for a loop?
It does.
I mean,
it is a little bit of a twist at the end.
There's
But it sets up for the next book, I found out. Because if you read the first chapter, which is in here of
The
book
next
2,
book.
which is Ancillary Sword,
Mhm.
And if you go into a little bit about what Ancillary Sword is, they're all standalone books, kind of. But this is this book is about revenge, and very much the next book is not about that.
okay.
There's a flip for the next book. And the next book's going to take off in a different direction. It's more about finding, Can't remember who it is they're going to go after.
But I mean, I'm like, just like what the Lord or whatever it is, now she's made herself into, I thought, am I wrong? No, now she's a child, right? But now, see, I'm confused. Is she still got some adult parts of her running around?
Yeah, I didn't quite get that at the end. I will fully admit that. I didn't quite realize what was going on there. The book has a strange kind of ending as it twists and get ready for the next book. As Breq sort of gets ready to, she's now going on to another ship.
Yeah.
And going after somebody. I can't remember who she's going after. It's like the sister. It's Ann's sister, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's Lieutenant Ann's sister that she's going to go after.
She's gonna go after her?
That's book 2.
I thought she wanted to protect her.
No, that's what I mean. Like, go find her. You know, go after her to find her and stuff like
Alright.
that. Yeah, she's going to find her and protect her.
Okay.
And that apparently is Ancillary Sword. So it's that journey. So there is like kind of a weird twist at the end of Ancillary Justice, but it really is just, it's, you know.
So are you going to go on and read Ancillary Sword?
I might actually, yeah. This would be kind of intriguing enough that I might go on and finish the series, the trilogy, just because it was that interesting.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I would throw it up there.
Book in the film. That should be kind of fun.
Yeah, I have to say, it would be interesting on a TV or something like that where you could get that multi-points of view and flip back and forth
See how they
real
render
quick.
that.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to do.
How they haven't had the ship talking to their other parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because, you know.
How
They'll either do it
that.
amazingly or they'll do it horribly.
Yeah, the main character in this is a ship. You know,
Yeah.
that is kind of like unusual.
How are you
so
going to do that?
I'm kind of curious. And we've had ships as characters before in
Yeah.
sci-fi. That's not unusual.
Well,
But it's
yeah.
unusual for them to be the main character of that story. And that's kind of intriguing.
Exactly, right. Well, not to belabor Dune as a comparison, but I can remember being so grossly disappointed in Dune's movie because to me the beauty of Dune was the characterizations and how those relationships developed and
Dune
how
book and
important
Dune
they
movie are
were.
two very
Yeah,
different things. I'll give
the
you that.
movie was all about sandworms.
Yes.
You know, so it was like sandworms were definitely a major consideration there, but they weren't, you know, that was.
But that movie's kind of
Yeah.
a colossal, epic failure of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Budget, director problems, all kinds of fun stuff.
That's true. I think I heard that.
Sci-Fi made a much better run at it in the 2000 issues when they did kind of a mini-series of it.
Yeah.
I'd
They
like
did a
to
little
see
bit
how
better.
they would repair them too, correct them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the correctives and stuff.
The corrective.
Yeah, there was a lot of really
Yeah.
interesting technology in this, I
Yeah.
have to say. Like, she was really, and it was all over the place. It was subtly done, like the correctives, where it's just, oh, you put this thing over and it kind of hardens and it falls off.
Right.
You know, you're better. To like more, to
Yeah,
the
that was
ancillary
interesting.
stuff, which is so involved in the story. But I really found that fascinating. She merged it well.
I like hypothermia kits.
Yeah.
Wish we had those here.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it was just fascinating. And
They're
that
expensive,
lasted
though.
all through the book, too. Really, her use of
And I don't know, the
future
ships
technology.
seem like really just complicated, just the structure and the decks and.
I can tell you that I do not know what one of these ships looks like. I
Yeah,
never got
I
the,
can
I
I can't tell you what a single one of these ships looks like.
Mhm.
Because you never got that impression. You were always like internal in the ship.
So it was very
It wasn't really
organic
like you were
in some
seeing
way.
something.
It was an organism, right?
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
ship is a character. It's like, it's the main
Yeah.
character of the book, really. So, and there's so many of them because there are all these ancillaries running around, and each ancillary is directly tied to another ship.
And I really like the words. I like ancillary,
Yeah.
directives, and
Yeah.
things like that. And the,
Well, she has an amazing thing, so I'm just going to take a
So,
second here. This is a really well-written novel. In fact, I would actually probably classify this as literary sci-fi, as opposed to just sci-fi. This is literally how she opens the book. This is the opening line. So the body lay naked and face down, a deathly gray spatters of blood staining the snow around it. It was minus 15 degrees Celsius, and a storm had passed just hours before. The snow stretched smooth in the wane sunrise. Only a few tracks leading into a nearby ice block building, a tavern, or what passed for a tavern in this town. That's the first paragraph. Nothing about that screams like, you're not like, oh, we're cruising through the stars, or, you know.
Right.
not like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away or something like that. That's just a beautifully written beginning of any book.
It is beautifully written.
Any book opening this way is just gorgeous. So to do that in a sci-fi novel was amazing.
Yeah, it compels you to read on, and it's visually interesting, and
Well, and
there's a lot
so
to
many
say
times
about
sci-fi get a bad rap in terms of how it's written.
that.
There's a lot of tropes. It's mostly fan fiction for
Yeah.
movies or whatever. And this is very much not that, and I really, really liked that. Somebody who's read a lot of bad sci-fi, good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It was very, very nice to read really good sci-fi.
I'd like to see that one city with the shards of glass, go like a layer.
Oh,
Yeah. There's some really beautiful, stunning, sets or something.
Right.
Because sometimes, like I said, I don't know what the outside of the ship looks like. I have a very clear idea of sometimes what the inside of the ship looks like, and that was cool.
What's really interesting is to see different people's visualizations of things. I took a class one time in college where we had to illustrate books, and we were given these random books that had to be illustrated, and I got the Andromeda Strain. And
Another good one.
the funny thing is my instructor came to me and said, I don't know whether to send you to counseling or to but it is always very interesting to see the different ways that people visualize things. I mean, because they're bringing their own personal experience to it, of course, and trying to relate it to things that they understand or they've seen before. I mean, really, what is it? There's like nothing new under the sun. I mean, everybody understands what they've already begun to, what they've already learned.
Sure.
You can only understand what you learn.
There's the fun part of it is being a face of a human.
Ooh, interesting. Very cool.
That'd be
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we should all take out a pencil right now and we're all wondering.
I don't know
And send
why.
them to Ann.
And I want
Her Twitter
send them to
handle.
Ann.
I don't know why. That was just for me. I
All of a
guess
sudden,
because she was a ship, and I just thought, okay, so she's a ship.
So how did you picture Breq?
That was a tough one. I still do not.
I
So is Breq male or female or?
She's
We don't know.
female.
female, I think.
Okay, I kind of got the impression. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure. Is the author making a statement that it seemed to be a little jaded? I mean, in the little bit that I read, and I again have to confess that I haven't read deeply enough into it to know for sure. But in the little bit that I read, it seemed to me like there was kind of a little bit of a leaning toward making things genderless, but also making them kind of sympathetic to women. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if there's a lot of that or not. What's your opinion?
I think it's trying to make a statement that it doesn't matter, that gender doesn't matter.
It just doesn't.
That's kind of what I got the feeling, less so that there was some sort of bias against men, more so of, trying to put forward the sense that, we don't have to live in gender. It was almost kind of showing you what a genderless society might look like.
There's this, I keep relating it back to race, but there was some kind of an expression, I don't remember who said this, some important person said this, that maybe it was Martin Luther King or somebody like that, who said, until you can speak to somebody on the street and go inside and not remember if they were black or white, race will always be an issue. And so it's kind of like gender is also an issue just like that. It's like everybody is cognizant of the fact that you're speaking to a man or a woman, and that's just the way it is.
Well,
men and women definitely have different views on the things.
And sci-fi has kind of been known for many, many years as having bad female characters, in a lot of it. If you look at Dune, there's only a few female characters. Dune, there's only like one or two.
And they were
Star Wars.
concubines.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
So,
I think
children.
the fact that
But,
the author's a woman, definitely has something to do with the fact that gender is not important.
yeah.
The point she was trying to make.
And it was kind of
Or is it
refreshing
very
that,
important to her? And because of that, she's written a book where gender is not important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just a question that I had that I ponder further as I get into it.
Or did she just want women to rule?
Maybe. you know, or
So
at least to be able to
rules.
cast them in that kind of a situation where they could.
Because it is something usually happens.
Mhm. It's interesting, it's an interesting question.
With the terms that she made up, you know, the book that we were
Yeah.
talking about. The one I really liked was the alien were a series of R's.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like pirate talk. No, that's R.
You came across that way. Like, there's a lot of really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know how the people did look too, because she talked about light skin, dark skin.
Yeah.
Even some had slanted eyes.
Yeah.
So, you know, dark skin with slanted eyes.
Well, I know she's very concerned about it, so moving forward in terms of any visual interpretations, she's written about it online, her hesitations towards allowing us to go into a visual medium because of, you know, worrying about how they're going to depict the ships, how they're going to depict the ancillaries, how they're going to depict, you know, all these the Radch characters and stuff like that.
That's a difficult thing.
Oh, yeah.
My brother-in-law was fortunate enough that one of his plays got selected for Off-Broadway, which is a big accomplishment for a playwright. And he went there, you know, all excited and puffed up because here he's got his play. And the director of the play interpreted the play completely differently than he interpreted it in his mind. And so when he went to watch his own play being produced on, you know, Off-Broadway, he was really upset, and somebody had to like console him and sit him down and say, "No, your play's Off-Broadway. What's wrong with you?"
Right.
You know, just because he interprets it this way, and you know, and he's like, "No, he's doing it wrong."
Yeah.
You know, this player wasn't that. I mean, this character wasn't that important. You know.
And that's the number one thing you got to learn as a playwright.
Yeah.
You write it, but that's all you really do.
You gotta let it
Turn
go.
over.
You gotta let it go.
Yeah.
You know.
Unless you're going to be the director too.
Yeah. Which you ordinarily are not
Or
in the
never
beginning
will be, yeah.
until you achieve a certain level of something, maybe.
So what about the relationship between the Varden and Breq? Yeah, I
It's
mean,
interesting.
what do you think the Varden felt about?
Yeah.
Because I got the impression at some point that she wanted a closer relationship or maybe a physical relationship. And
See, I couldn't ever decide if they wanted the physical relationship. Okay, so the point is that these two characters kind of represent the love story that's going on in this book.
Right.
And it's not traditional, I'll say that. It's not romance by any stretch of the imagination. But it does have those elements. And you're right, I never quite understood if it was seeking a deeper level of friendship with this person,
Yeah.
or if there was a romantic component to that.
Right.
That's with the entire book, going back and forth on that, and I did not get that answer. So I don't really know how in the end, but I did totally, like, it was kind of intriguing to watch it play out in this society that almost doesn't value that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's a really interesting question.
They didn't talk about one relationship that put them in life.
Yeah. With the exception of the Radicais,
Yeah.
who have like a family structure in their societal structure. But that was the only time you got that sense of. But that was
But did they ever refer to mother and father?
no, because it wasn't. It was all like.
They
Mother and mother.
No, it was like it'd be the kind of thing where a man and woman wouldn't necessarily biologically reproduce. They would go and they'd have their
Yeah, but that one girl got hurt.
turned
though.
off. Yeah, you'd have like your
And they had that mother-daughter
contraceptive
situation.
stuff turned off. Then you have like these procedures you go through, and then you
It
do
was
all
all
this.
very clinical.
Very clinical.
Mhm.
Reproduction was incredibly clinical.
So why would they go though? Why
Well,
would they
you were
reproduce?
reproducing. You're the Radicai people. The upper class.
Was it an obligation to reproduce, or was it,
Yeah,
was there
you
a
don't really-
desire to reproduce?
I mean, it's the sense of everybody's going to have that, but only really did it seem like the rich people, the Radicais people, the Radch people, those were the ones who seemed to do that level of society building, because everybody else was a client who could be carved up into an ancillary if you needed them, which was just kind of an odd thing.
Yeah.
You had this like servant class that was there to be carved up for ancillaries.
Yeah, but there was that one situation though where there was that mother and daughter, that one other girl got hurt.
Yeah.
and they were referring to, you know, a young girl and her mother. And then
Yeah.
she was out and saw that little, she said, you know, she saw the young
Yeah, on
girl
the planet
again.
especially.
Wasn't it the planet was it Strigan? Was that what that was? Where she helped that there was an accident and one young girl was really hurt.
Yeah.
And the mother was there.
But see, I guess because they did conquer planets too, so you know, I never got a sense if that was indigenous or if that was part of the empire. I don't know. I missed that. I'm like,
Well, I'm really proud of Ann Leckie for writing this book because it sounds like it was a really well-written and
it's an amazing book.
interesting book that has a lot of clever ideas and a lot of devices and, you know,
I can see why I won all the awards.
and she's a St. Louis author.
Yeah, and she broke history. I mean,
Yeah.
no one has in umpteen years won all three of the biggies, which is the Hugo, the Nebula, and the Arthur C.
That's amazing in itself.
Yeah,
This is their first book.
this is her first book.
This is her first book. Yeah.
Yeah, I
We have
mean,
Ancillary Sword right there on the shelf. I'm looking up and that's another.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the new one is Ancillary Mercies. Do we know when that's coming out?
2015, it didn't have a
Okay,
specific
so this
release
year
date. So
sometime.
yeah, look for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting series. I'm not gonna lie. For it to be her first,
What? Ancillary Mercies.
you know, the fact that it's her first book is pretty impressive. Now, granted, she's not like, you know, she's been writing for years. She's written tons of, not tons, but she's written several short stories that have done really well, that have been published in notable
Yeah.
places and stuff like that. So this isn't like her first thing out.
Yeah.
But it's an impressive first book, I must say. So,
Expected October 22nd, 2015.
kudos to Orbit Books for picking it up.
October 22nd,
No, okay.
under Ancillary
Good, I
Mercies.
have plenty of time to read Ancillary Sword.
Yeah.
Not reading that.
Although I thought I had all the time in the world to finish Ancillary Justice and then.
But I have to say, Ann did a really good job, so hey, kudos, Ann. Sweet.
Kudos, Ann.
Great job.
Okay. Does that wrap us
Yeah,
up?
I don't have anything else unless anyone else does. Any other questions about the book? Because it was really good.
No, I'm still just gonna wonder about the end. How we got from.
Rose isn't over this yet.
I'm not how we got from her.
You're gonna have to read
All
the
these
second book.
multiple people I know, and now she's Lord of the,
Maybe the
Yeah.
second book will
Or
let
or
her know.
whatever, and she's
From-
10 years old now.
Yes. It's confusing.
Yeah, and how she was battling herself. That part.
Well,
I thought that was kind of interesting.
that was kind of
Yeah.
interesting, and that really falls down this whole notion of like, so the bad guy, the main villain, female from the book, she almost has these two personalities. And Breq finds herself aligning with one and fighting against the other, but it's all the same ancillaries. And it's just crazy.
That
Fascinating.
to me got kind of confusing when they were going back and forth. I'm like, wait a minute, why is she not? What did the other one do? But it's really all yet one and the same.
Yeah, I have a feeling this book is amazing, like the second and third time around.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
was
I'm not-
thinking,
yeah,
I
I
kind
might
of like
just
a
go
book
back.
that you have to sit
Yeah.
and ponder and think about. And
Well, I
wonder
felt like
about.
the first go through, and you know, really for the first chunk of it, I was really wrapping my mind around it all.
Yeah,
You know, really trying to wrap my mind around it all because there's so much that's not standard sci-fi, not standard to our realm, not standard to our own world or anything like that. You know, the ancillaries and the ship as a point of view and just all of it. It's
I'm
cool
not
how to
really
wrap your head
sure if
around.
I may have a learning disability or whatever.
No, I
It
talk
seems to me
many
like
people.
if there's a lot of characters or, you know, things like that, I often have to reread the first section.
Yeah,
Like
it's
a
a
lot,
complex
I'll do
book.
a straight through and
Oh,
then all
I
of a
do
sudden I have all these
too.
questions,
I'm
so
like-
I go back
I'm
again.
like, wait a minute, you know.
I almost
Let's
get
go
to the point
back.
where I want to have, paper and pen with me and write
Notes.
down all these,
The notes
names,
about each person.
who
There you
does
go.
what and how they're
Yeah.
connected to whom.
Jill was related to Sarah.
Yeah,
and Sarah was the daughter of Edgar, and
Yeah.
Edgar was,
Yeah.
you're trying to keep track of all this. I've done that to exhaustive detail before in school,
Oh, yeah.
and then I've come back and thought, I just wasted like 4 hours writing all
I
these
know.
notes, and they didn't mean anything because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you just never know where it's going to go or where it's going to take you.
Right.
Well, thanks, Brad. You did a good
Thank you.
job of leading
Yeah, no
us
problem.
through the discussion. Do
We
we
need
want to draw names?
Sure, draw.
We're going to draw out our next selection now, and the panelists have made recommendations, and we take recommendations from anyone who's interested in following this club. So you can email the recommendations for book selections to info, that's info at StLBooks.com. And Mary, I'll let you choose our next book. Choose out of our drawing here.
Single Carefree Mellow. by
Single-
Catherine Honey.
Single Carefree Mellow by Catherine Heiny. How do you spell it?
H-E-I-N-Y.
H-E-I-M-Y. We'll have copies of that book at STLBooks for 15% off for anybody who's interested. Thank you all.
Thank you. We know.
Thanks, Ann. Good book.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
I knew it.
I
You
made
made
it
up
up.